FM News Talk 97.1.
On-demand audio.
Eric Holder currently has in his sights Texas trying to invoke their 10th Amendment right to uphold voter integrity in their state. Well, now it looks as though, according to J. Christian Adams over at Pajamas Media, the Texas voter ID is on life support. And J. Christian Adams joins us right now via the phone. Good afternoon, Christian. Thanks so much.
Hey, Dana. How are you?
I am, I'm sad to learn that this has not taken a turn for the good in terms of Texas voters. What is the latest regarding this case?
Well, the latest is that the trial is still going on. The Justice Department actually put up a witness this morning who testified that Governor Perry is a fascist, and they use that word. So, you know, it's crazy talk from the department, but unfortunately, it may well win the day because of some arcane statistical rules involving discrimination.
So if the Department of Justice scores a win here in Texas and they prevent them from requiring photo identification in order for people to safeguard the votes of those casting them, this is just, and again, I only play a lawyer on the radio. This, to me, this is going to set a precedent that is going to endanger the 10th Amendment powers of the other states who are currently in this tussle, the same tussle with the DOJ.
Well, you're exactly right. And the Voting Rights Act of 1965 was amended in 2006 to essentially give enormous federal power over state election decisions. A lot of Republicans liked it because they thought it helped them with redistricting, but now you're seeing how they're getting hoisted on their own petard. And now the same law that helps them with redistricting is causing voter integrity efforts around the country to be attacked by the Justice Department. They're going to kill Texas voter ID. They're probably going to kill South Carolina voter ID. Mississippi and Alabama are trembling. And so what you have is heading into the elections a situation where Eric Holder is using the weaponry given to him by Republicans in 2006 to undermine our elections' integrity.
And this just underscores the huge point that even if we have Republicans in office passing legislation where any legislation where you give government that much oversight, you can't be guaranteed that you're always going to have good people in office. And you should never want someone else to have that kind of power over voting and over states' rights anyway.
Well, that's right. And Dana, you're exactly right. This is part of a bigger problem where Republicans have tended to want to disengage on racial issues, on election issues, on anything that the NAACP beats its drum about. In the past, Republicans have just sought to avoid the press, avoid controversy, give them whatever they want. And that's exactly what happened in 2006 with the Voting Rights Act amendments. And now Texas can't implement their voter ID because of surrenders to the left from 7 years ago.
Do we have anything in terms of any sort of victories where we've had courts rule in favor of, obviously the Supreme Court with the Arizona law. I mean, isn't that something that can be used to fight against the encroachment here in Texas?
It would seem like it is, but it really isn't because of the sort of statistical games of three-level chess, if you've ever watched Star Trek.
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot of sort of internal wonky statistical games you have to play, and the Indiana Crawford case and the Arizona case don't really help. It helps, though, on rhetoric. For example, Eric Holder was at the NAACP convention yesterday calling voter ID a poll tax. Well, the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals in the Arizona case literally said voter ID is not a poll tax. So at least it helps expose these people as liars. But it doesn't really help in the courtroom in Washington against Texas.
So this obviously is going to all happen before the November election. What do you think? I ask you to look into your crystal ball. What do you think is going to happen with this case? And say this does take a turn for the worse, and it's in Texas attempting to uphold voter integrity is struck down. How quickly will the battles in these other states? How quickly will they fall?
Well, South Carolina is going to be tried in late August. Right during the Republican National Convention, South Carolina goes to trial on their voter ID. Mississippi and Alabama are waiting in the wings. Alabama doesn't even want to submit its plan to justice until after the election. But what you're going to see is this. When these laws get struck down by the courts under Section 5, and don't forget there's a burden shift under Section 5, Texas has to prove it as a clean soul. It's not the other way around where justice has to prove it's discriminatory. In 2006, the law put the burden on Texas to prove that they are pure in every way. What's going to happen is when these laws get struck down, the NAACP and the constituents there are going to go crazy happy with Eric Holder, and they're going to be energized. Whether or not we see a counterpart mobilization on the right remains to be seen.
Will we be able to, because I know in Texas with the King Street Patriots and Catherine Engelbrecht's True the Vote and that, which we've talked about before.
Yeah, I'm sitting in their offices right now.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
Is there a way for citizens to kind of, say for instance, say that, the DOJ does strike this effort by Texas down. Is there a way for citizens to, because I know that this is what the King Street Patriots and True the Vote tried to do. They tried to monitor the polls to make sure that there was legitimate voting taking place. But at the same time, they were persecuted as well. So it seems as though every effort made by the citizenry to ensure good and honest elections, honest and fair elections, is kind of thwarted by the DOJ. I mean, is that what you're seeing? I mean, not just in Texas as well?
Yeah, that's right. And we can't have fair weather soldiers this fall. And that's one of the things the King Street Patriots is doing, and True the Vote actually. If you're sitting at home on Election Day this year, if you're sitting at home or if you're not using vacation that you have accrued, you are not doing your job. You need to be engaged and in the polling places on Election Day, places you maybe have never gone except to vote. You need to sign up with truethevote.org. You need to get involved to monitor the elections on Election Day, and not just in your home precinct. You need to go to True the Vote and get to the rough and tumble precincts where the voter fraud is occurring. And if you're not doing that, we're losing. Anyone who's sitting at home on Election Day is part of the problem, not part of the solution.
Someone, I had to share this with you. Someone on Twitter suggested that if you don't show a photo identification to vote, just tax those who don't show one. I mean, we already have that precedence with Obama tax. Why don't we just go down that road?
Yeah. No, listen, it's a topsy-turvy world these days where you have a Justice Department who is facilitating lawless behavior in our polling places, whether it's the new Black Panthers or attacking Texas when it comes to implementing voter ID.
Right. Well, gosh. Well, I'm so glad that you and Catherine Engelbrecht and so many other people, especially the both of you, have been paying attention to this and for all of your written work about this as well, because I honestly think were it not for you keeping such close track of all of this, there's so much that we wouldn't know, Christian. Quite frankly, there's so much we wouldn't know.
Well, thanks, Dana. But, the best part is in a country like ours, all your listeners now can do something about it because they now know what's happening. Absolutely.
Well, I so appreciate it. We're going to be watching this whole case with come down with the DOJ in Texas, and I know we're going to be talking to you again when it does. J. Christian Adams of Pajamas Media. Thanks so much as always, Christian.
Thanks, Dana. Bye-bye.
Take care.
Get more Dana Show at 971talk.com.